Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Armageddon. Today we're going to be featuring a Brawl deck with Chulane, Teller of Tales as our commander, as part of our series of Brawl videos featuring commanders from Throne of Eldraine. Chulane was not released as part of the main Throne of Eldraine set, but as part of a commander expansion, and was the commander of a pre-constructed Brawl deck when Arena first introduced that format as a special event. In my experience, Chulane is all too often played as a commander in a more controlling strategy, but I believe that that is a mistake, because it doesn't synergize with his abilities. Chulane rewards you for casting creature spells by drawing cards and putting additional lands into play, and has an activated ability to return a creature to our hand, including himself, which can be activated at instant speed, so we can use it to protect a creature from removal or to retrigger and enter effect. As you can imagine, there are countless ways of building a Chulane deck, so what I've gone with is a Legends themed deck with lots of legendary creatures, several of which have powerful enter effects to synergize with Chulane. I've broken the deck down into categories, so let's go through them. First up is our mana acceleration. We're playing most of the 1-mana ramp cards available in our colors: Avacyn's Pilgrim, the classic Birds of Paradise, Delighted Halfling, which can make it so that our legendary spells can't be countered, Elvish Mystic, and Llanowar Elves. At 2 mana, Paradise Druid has some built-in protection, and our 2-mana ramp artifacts are Arcane Signet and the Iron Crag, the latter of which can turn into an equipment whenever a legendary creature enters if we no longer need it for ramp. At 3 mana, when Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, enters or attacks, we gain 3 life, draw a card, and can put an additional land in play. Uro can also be escaped out of the graveyard. Helga, Skittish Seer, adds mana to cast creature spells with mana value 4 or greater, and whenever we do cast such a creature spell, Helga draws us a card, gains this 1 life, and picks up a +1/+1 counter, enabling to add progressively more and more mana. Our ramp artifacts at 3 mana are Phial of Galadriel, which can draw additional cards if we are empty-handed, Relic of Legends, which can also tap our legendary creatures to add mana, and the Celestus, which provides card selection and life gain as it switches between day and night. Finally, we have the Ring Goes South, which puts a number of lands from the top of our library onto the battlefield tapped, equal to the number of legendary creatures we control. Our next category consists of interaction. We have Swords to Plowshares as one of the best removal spells ever printed, and a few counterspells: Spell Pierce and Negate for non-creature spells, Wash Away to counter the opponent's commander, the classic counterspell, and Mana Drain. Jaheira, Harper Emissary, can be specialized to destroy an artifact or enchantment, and when Lorn of the Third Path enters, she destroys an artifact or enchantment, and has an activated ability that draws both players a card. Rasad, Monk of Selûne, exiles an opposing creature when he enters, and can be specialized for additional effect. While Barian, Tolarian Archmage, bounces a creature or planeswalker when he enters, and draws a card whenever we return a permanent we control to our hand. Venser, Shaper Savant, reprinted in Foundation's Jumpstart, returns either a spell or another permanent to its owner's hand when he enters, and can be cast at instant speed. While Urza's Ruinous Blast, which can only be cast if we control a legendary creature or planeswalker, although we don't have any planeswalkers in this deck, exiles all non-legendary non-land permanents. Tolzimir Friend to Wolves creates a legendary wolf creature token named Voya, who fights an opposing creature, while Kogla the Titan Ape fights an opposing creature when he enters, and can destroy an artifact or enchantment when he attacks. Next, we have ways of protecting Chulane or our other key creatures. Skrelv Defector Might can give a creature hexproof from a color or make it effectively unblockable. Samwise the Stout-Hearted can return a permanent that was put in our graveyard this turn to our hand, and can be cast at instant speed. Gold-Forged Thopterix makes our legendary permanents more difficult to interact with. Swift Foot Boots can be equipped to give hexproof and haste, while Boromir, Warden of the Tower, can be sacrificed to give the team indestructible. Finally, Mithril Coat can be flashed in and equipped to a legendary creature for free, and makes the equipped creature indestructible. Our next category consists of our legendary creatures who aren't otherwise categorized. At 2 mana, Niambi, Esteemed Speaker, can be flashed in to return a creature to our hand, and can discard a legendary card to draw 2 cards, while Samwise Gamgee makes food tokens whenever a creature enters, and can sacrifice 3 foods to return an historic permanent from our graveyard to our hand. At 3 mana, Lucamina Moon Druid seeks a land card when she enters, and can be specialized for additional effect, and returns to the battlefield with her initial stats when she dies. While Arwen, Mortal Queen, is indestructible, but can give up that ability to make another creature we control indestructible until end of turn. OG the Exquisite Blade gains life and scries when they enter, and blinks a creature we control whenever we cast 2 or more spells a turn. Traxos, Scourge of Krug, is a massive trampler that untaps whenever we cast another historic spell. Gandalf the White lets us play legendary spells and artifacts at instant speed, while doubling effects that are triggered if an artifact or legendary permanent enters or leaves the battlefield. Vorinclex searches up any 2 forests, including non-basic forests, when he enters, and can transform into the Grand Evolution, a powerful saga whose effects can be game-winning. While Tolsimir Midnight's Light creates a 5/5 version of Voya, and forces the opponent to make disadvantageous blocks if both he and a wolf attack. At 6 mana, Surak and Goreclaw give our other creatures trample, and when they enter, put a +1/+1 counter on them and give them haste. While Aragorn and Arwen Wed put +1/+1 counters on the team and gain us life equal to the number of creatures we control when they enter or attack. Finally, when Bonnie Paul Clearcutter enters, she creates Bow, a legendary Ox token that gets bigger the more lands we play, and draws a card and can put an additional land into play from either our graveyard or our hand whenever we attack. Our next category consists of cards that synergize with all of our legendary and multicolored creatures. Flowering of the White Tree is an anthem that makes our legendary creatures difficult to interact with, while Glass of the Guild Pact is an anthem for our multicolored creatures. Cullen joins up, plots a card with mana value 3 or less when it enters, and puts +1/+1 counters on the team whenever we play a legendary creature. War of the Last Alliance searches up legendary creatures on the first 2 chapters, and gives the team Double Strike on the 3rd chapter, while Panharmonicon doubles effects that are triggered by our artifacts or creatures entering. If we control a legendary creature, Karn's Temporal Sundering lets us take an extra turn and bounce a non-land permanent, while Kamal's Druidic Vow, which again we can only cast if we control a legendary creature, can put a lot of lands and legendary permanents into play all at once. Our final category consists of our card advantage engines. The Reality Chip lets us play lands and cast spells off the top of our library as long as it is equipped, while the new Loot, Exuberant Explorer from Foundations, lets us play an additional land each turn and has an activated ability to put a creature directly onto the battlefield. Elven Chorus lets us cast creature spells off the top of our library and lets all of our creatures add 1 mana of any color. Kolvori, God of Kinship, is buffed if we control at least 3 legendary creatures, and can find legendary creatures out of the top 6 cards of our library. She can also be played as the Ringheart Crest, which can ramp out our legendary creatures. Captain Sisay can search up any legendary card in our deck. And finally, because we don't have any planeswalkers, the Immortal Sun is a perfect inclusion. It discounts our spells, buffs our creatures, and draws an additional card each turn. Our mana base has many dual lands, which mostly come into play untapped, including the new Flood Farm Verge from Duskmourn, as well as 2 of each basic forest, island, and plains, in case we need to search one up. We have Spar's Headquarters, the Triland in our colors, as well as Command Tower, a must-have in any multicolored Brawl deck. We're playing the fetch lands that fetch forests, islands, and plains, and they can search up non-basic lands as well. And we also have Great Hall of the Citadel, which fixes our colors for legendary spells. We also have some utility lands. Castle Ardenvale can create 1/1 human tokens, while Minas Tirith can draw a card if we attack with at least 2 creatures. all three of Aiganjo, Seat of the Empire, Odawara, Soaring City, and Boseiju, Who Endures, can be channeled for additional interaction. Castle Vantris and Rivendell let us set up our next draw by scrying, while Castle Garenbrig helps us ramp out our bigger creatures. Finally, we have Plaza of Heroes to protect our commander or one of our other legendary creatures. So that's our Chulane deck. Now it's time to take it into the queue and play some games. On the play, facing Kellen the Kid, good value deck. We've got 3 lands. Flooded Strand can fetch a forest for Castle Garenbrig. It'll have to be a shock land, probably Breathing Pool. And we can play Llanowar Elves on 1. We could flash in Mithril Coat on 2 with Llanowar Elves, but there's not really any point of doing so. And then we've got Flowering and Traxos as good other cards. So we'll ramp into Traxos on turn 3. Seems pretty good to me. We could get Temple Garden, which would let me play Flowering of the White Tree. Then I won't have any blue mana. I think I like the idea of getting Flowering of the White Tree down. Maybe we'll play that turn 2. That way Traxos will be a 9/8 with Ward 1. Avacyn's Pilgrim. So now slightly regretting not fetching Breeding Pool, because we could have played Chulane on turn 3. Opponent plays Doc Orlok. Alright, Delighted Halfling can play Chulane. So I can't play any other blue spells except for other blue legendary spells, which does include my Karn's Temporal Sundering, but I would need another blue source for that. Opponent plays the Key to the Vault. There's our other blue source. Alright, so opponent only has colorless mana up. We'll play Chulane here. And Traxos can get in there. Opponent chumps with Doc Orlok. Don't mind that. Conduit Pylons. So they can cast Kellen here. Gandalf the White. I could flash that in, but probably better just to cast it now so that I can attack with Traxos. And Chulane can attack as well. Opponent goes to 6. And then let's fetch Reading Pool. So this way I can flash in Mithril Coat. Although opponent doesn't have double white. which you need for pretty much any board, right? Opponent puts the key to the vault on Kellen. Attacks. Gets to look at the top 3 cards of their library and cast it without paying its mana cost. Alright, so I think they still have to pay the spree costs. Alright, and that is enough for opponent. Great, well, off to a good start so far. Having ramp in our opening hand is great. We're playing a bit less ramp than you might ordinarily have in a green deck, just because we want more cards that synergize with our legendary theme. But we have enough ramp that we can reliably have an opening hand with at least one ramp card in it. On we go. Okay. Only 2 lands and no white. I need double blue for Bonnie. Facing Ghoul Collar Gisa. I think with the extra draw step and the fact we have Iron Crag means I think we'll try this hand out. I'm always a little hesitant to keep a land with 2 lands. I mean a hand with 2 lands, sorry. Because missing your 3rd land drop is really bad, and that seems to happen with surprising frequency, I found. So maybe I should take my free mulligan and look for 3 lands. Sure. Alright. Now we don't have ramp. So we'll go to 6. Okay, I don't want to go to 5, so we'll have to keep this. And then what bottom? Spell Pierce could be good. Voya, Friend to Elves, from Tolsimir, Friend to Wolves, is too small to fight Ghoul Collar Gisa, so maybe we'll send Tolsimir to the bottom. We're going to shuffle him back in when we fetch with Misty Rainforest anyway. Opponent leads with Valkabos Lair. Bit of a curious inclusion in a monocolored deck. Alright, so I could get Meticulous Archive and try and find land 3, but I think I want to make sure I have green, so we get Spar's Headquarters. Then Helga ramps us into Tolsimir Midnight's Light. Opponent leads with Blight Beetle. Which is good both against all of the creatures we have in hand, which are all green, and against Helga, because it prevents her from picking up +1/+1 counters. Opponent removes Sam. We do draw land 3, thankfully. Hoping to draw land 4. Helga can't cast Panharmonicon. Opponent sacrifices Blight Beetle to search up something with Diabolic Intent. Land is good. I kind of want to hold up Spell Pierce. But that would mean basically only casting Glass of the Guild Pact. Because I can't tap Helga for Panharmonicon. I think, to be on the safe side, that's what we'll do. And then I can't cast either of my 5-drops, even with Helga's increased power from Glass the Guild Pact. Patchwork Banner could be what they searched up. I think we'll go ahead and counter that. And there we go. Counterspell gets her done. We'll take it. On we go. On the play, presumably black-white life gain. I think my only instant speed removal spell is Swords to Plowshares. I think we mulligan this. I only have 2 lands and I don't have green. I do have the Celestis, but missing land drop number 3 is really bad. I should mention, here we go, 3 lands. We don't have double white for flowering, but I think this is still keepable. I don't have a play until I draw a 4th land for OG, unless I draw another white source. But I don't want to go down to 6 on the play, so I think we keep this, and having 3 lands is good. Not having ramp is a bit of a problem. We should draw 1 ramp spell, Authority of the Consuls. That's a problem with Sturrock and Goreclaw. There's our double white. And then I need double blue for Bonnie Paul and Karn's Temporal Sundering. So I think we play Bark Channel, the Pathway on the Tie Channel side. And then turn 4, OG lets us scry for land 5 for Chulane, land 6 for Bonnie Paul and Karn's Temporal Sundering. The Immortal Sun. And I should mention that although this video is likely to be released after Pioneer Masters comes out on Arena, it's being recorded before the release of Pioneer Masters on Arena. So I don't currently have any Pioneer Masters cards in the deck list. Something else to mention with respect to the Spell Pierce that won us last game is that opponent had something they could do at instant speed, but didn't. Plays Lava Spur Boots. That's fine. Rasad, Monk of Selune, or Saloon, I'm not quite sure how you say that, I've only ever seen it written. So I could exile Distinguished Conjurer with Rasad and pay for Ward. But I think I'd rather get OG down. OG can also block the Distinguished Conjurer. Although, not right now because of Authority of the Consuls. Alright, there is land 5. And then Glass of the Guild Pact. Would pump OG, Chulane, Bonnie, Paul. We'll keep that, I think. And then we can play Rasad and Glass the Guild Pact on the same turn to trigger OG. Opponent plays Elenda. I might just play Rasad to exile Elenda now. And then I think we play this pathway on green, because I've got double white. So this gives me double everything. I think it's better to be efficient and play Chulane here. And then we don't have attacks. Now we might not be able to cast 2 spells next turn to trigger OG if they move the Lava Spur Boots onto Elenda here. Because I want to exile Elenda. Alright, so we're going to take 10 points of damage. Good news is that we will be able to exile Elenda and still play Rasad, and Guild Pact. And then I think we'll exile OG, even though that does give them another authority trigger. Look for land 6. File is fine, but I think we want land. And then Lauren can blow up Sanguine Bond, I guess. Opponent can do something at instant speed. So that's what it was, Flare Fortitude. Opponent takes out Flowering. We go down to 11. We're going to go to 1. Tap land. Now, unfortunately, we're dead here. Because if I play Lauren to blow up Sanguine Bond, Authority of the Consuls triggers, and then Sanguine Bond triggers, and we die. Alright. Well. We'll go out on our own terms. Well, that was unfortunate. Better luck next time. On we go. On the draw, no ramp, but I do have 4 lands. Some early plays. Lauren might come in useful. Mana Drain. Now, the problem with counter spells is that Emoti's Cascade triggers on cast, so they get the value out of Emoti even if I counter them. But I think we can keep this. And then we'll search up Spar's headquarters on 1 with Misty Forest, I think. Because right now, otherwise, I could get Breeding Pool. Traxos, that's a good draw. I definitely want to get a green source. Oh, I meant to get... Alright, Rubendell. Spar's headquarters. So then we would have had double blue for Mana Drain. And I'll have to shock in Hallowed Fountain. Wayward Swordtooth. Elven Chorus. Ranging Raptors. Opponent missed their land drop. Let's get Traxos down here. Wash away, that's pretty useful. Alright, I think You can cast Elven Chorus, Hold Up, Wash Away. Samwise the Stout-Hearted coming up, although nothing going to the graveyard right away. Opponent is 3 permanents away from I keep missing land drops. And then I don't really want to attack with Traxos and let them get lands with Ranging Raptors, so I think I'll use Traxos to cast Llanowar Elves. And hope that opponent misses their land drop one more turn so they don't resolve Emoti. They miss their land. I could destroy that Ranging Raptors with Lauren. And then now that I have counter spells up, I don't mind them chumping with Ranging Raptors to get a land. Could cast Mana Drain. But I don't have anything to ramp into. Wayward Sawtooth still can't attack or block. Opponent falls to 11. I do want to hit my land drop, so I will draw with Lauren here. Alright. Opponent's going to have the City's Blessing if Tendershoot Triad resolves. Which we can't afford to let happen, so we're countering it here. And then I can return a creature to hand. Let's return Lauren. Don't have anything to spend the mana on, so I think we activate the Celestus here. Alright, Samwise Gamgee. Hammered Sawtooth still can't attack or block, so we can attack with Chulane. Opponent falls to 1. And then I can play Kolvori here, or Aragorn and Arwen Wed. Which would be the most mana efficient. Alright, we'll take action. I think we discard, well, we might be shuffling Boring Collects. So let's discard Kolvori then. Alright. So if we fetch an untapped land, we can counter that with negate. And that should be it. We'll escape Uro to untap Traxos. And that's enough for concession. Alright. Well, there we go. Our deck did what its game plan set out to do. On we go. On the play, no white mana, but we do have 3 lands. Uro will draw us into land 4, which will hopefully be a white source, which will get us OG, who can scry us towards land 5 and 6. Rose's Ruinous Blast could be useful because Nethroi is a graveyard recursion deck, so exiling opponent's creatures, I think, probably good. Doesn't exile Nethroi, of course, because Nethroi is legendary. Or his, yeah, so... This hand would have been perfect with Uro if I'd had a 1-mana elf, although I don't have an untapped green source, so it wouldn't really have mattered. Wouldn't mind drawing a counter spell with all this blue mana. Opponent leads with Crystal Grotto. I'd probably have Surveil lands. And Misty Rainforest. That can find us our white source. And since I don't have a turn 2 play, I'll just save everyone some time and fetch now, and we'll get Spire's Headquarters, and remember to actually select Spire's Headquarters, as opposed to Temple Guarding like last time. And then, alright, another land. That's not too bad. That gets us that much closer to Bonnie Paul. And in fact, we'll be able to play Chulane next turn. Looks like opponent can do something at instant speed for 1 mana. But they choose not to do it. File of Galadriel, the draw from Uro. Okay, it's a Heir Apparent deck. Sadly, because of Bonnie Paul's double blue, I can't ramp into her with Castle Garenbrig. Well, Heir Apparents and the tokens they create are not legendary, so Urza's Ruinous Blast is going to be quite effective. And then I can play File of Galadriel and OG. That was obnoxious. Now Chulane doesn't have an ability. I think we play Boulder Loft on, or the pathway on Boulder Loft white, so I have double white. The Immortal Sun, Aragorn, and Arwen wed. I like both of those. And the nice thing is that File of Galadriel is legendary, so it doesn't get exiled by Urza's Ruinous Blast. So we're kind of stuck with Chulane as a vanilla 2/4. And unless opponent destroys Chulane, we won't be able to remove the perpetual effect from Patriarch Simulation. Opponent, I should say, ramps with Arcane Signet, gets Heir Apparent. So opponent would have to triple block Chulane to trade, and I could kill two of their creatures, one of the Heir Apparents and the token, but they're just going to chump with the token. Oh, opponent playing something other than Heir Apparent. Oh, her Kozlin survives Urza's Ruinous Blast. Alright, land comes into play tapped, but hitting my land drops is still nice. And then, let's see here. I've got 7 mana. Bow is a 7/7, so it can block O'Hare Kozlin, or 8/8 I should say, with the Immortal Sun. So I think it's Bonnie Paul here. Bad that Chulane does not trigger because of the perpetual effect of Patriarch's Humiliation. Ravenous Chupacabra answers Bow. Alright, opponent takes out OG. Get back a land. Opponent chumps. And then I think we hold up 3 mana Wash Away. Well, I guess I only need to pay 2 mana because of the discount from the Immortal Sun. But I don't really need to play anything else right now. I've got plenty of green. Let's get a Surveil land. Llanowar Elves can go. It also helps fill the graveyard for Uro. I'm going to counter that, I think. Another Heir Apparent. Alright. Seachrome Coast. Okay. Do we have lethal? We're going to get another +3, 3+1/+1 counters. So it'll be 5, 14, 19. So we do have lethal. So we'll Urza's Ruinous Blast. Oh no, I miscounted. Opponent's down to 1. Could escape Uro. I think we'll flash in Gandalf end of turn. Well, that's enough for a concession. I'll take it. On we go. We'll play. I've got 4 lands, so I can put a extra land into play with Uro. Samwise can return a fetch land if I want. I've got Niambi. If I had 5 mana, I could play Uro and then flash Niambi and return Uro to hand. I think we can keep this. Facing Samet, Voice of Dissent. So presumably an aggressive Naya deck. And then I think we'll lead with Minas Tirith here. Alright, opponent doesn't have a play. Let's fetch. Breeding Pool. And then I think I like just playing Uro here, not worrying about trying to do anything fancy with Niambi. Fetch Spar's headquarters. So we'll be able to play Chulane next turn. And Jolly Sunwing. So that does negate Surek and Goreclaw's ability to give my creatures haste, but that's the only thing I have to give creatures haste. And then, unfortunately, I don't have an attack with Samwise here. I might pick Samwise back up with Niambi or Chulane. Opponent plays Shalai. They don't have green mana yet. Attacks with Kinjali Sunwing. I'll just get a basic forest. We'll pick up Sam. Didn't draw another untapped land, so I can't replay Sam to pick up a fetch land. Opponent decides against tapping the lands they sacrifice to Lotus Field. So they can play their commander. And falls to 10. Okay. I think I like fetching 3 lands with the ring goes south. And then we'll hold up Wash Away, either to counter Summit or something for 3 mana. Opponent taps Lotus Field for green. Is Goreclaw. I think that's fine. And then, do I want to pick up a creature with Chulane? I could flash in Sam, have the ring temp, make Niabi ring bearer again, then pick Sam back up on my turn, play him again, and get the ring up to level 4 so that when the ring bearer deals combat damage to a player, they lose 3 life. I think we'll do that. mana drain. We'll discard your hero. So opponent has to block Traxos with Goreclaw. They don't. And there we go. Alright. So we got to see our Chulane Legends strategy deck in action. And definitely not as much ramp as I might normally play because I wanted some more synergy. But that seemed to work out. We didn't often had at least some ramp in our opening hand. And with Chulane's ability to put extra lands into play, once we got Chulane out, we could easily usually ramp some more. And then in previous build of this deck, I had less interaction and more synergy pieces, but I found that the deck just wasn't getting it done, so I added some more, mostly counter spells, and that seems to have worked out pretty well, because there were definitely a few games where counter spells won us the game. Anyway, so that'll do it for this deck. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you'd like to see a commander from another set, maybe from the new Pioneer Masters, let me know in the comments who you'd like to see. And thanks again for watching. Do please like and subscribe. Have a good one. Bye.